didn't really get that much of a chance.
Now, Manjin, you're witness to some of the losses that we saw from the blacklist Ube strategy. How do you think? How does a team defeat that? Actually, I wonder. Can you tell us a story? Because we don't know. And you're the expert.
Well, yeah. Well, by the way, I think FIMP, for them to win this, I think they need to play aggressive. Just let Blacklist don't be Blacklist.
Okay.
If they play the Ube strat too, they're up against the Ubiestes team. You see what I did there?
The superlative.
See, it's Ube plus Estes in one word. They're up against the Ubiestes team. So you cannot copy the Ubiestes team. Right? So you don't play the Ube, just play the Pimp style.
The Pimp style?
I don't know what that is, but maybe just surprise us with more cheese picks.
Lapu mid, maybe this time?
Maybe. Or maybe bring out the Gushan mid? I don't know.
Wow.
Anything.
We're about to find out. But before that, why don't we, lay the carpet for all of our players out there as we welcome Blacklist International and, of course, FIMP. To officiate the match, we have our marshals here to facilitate the game. They are here to ensure fair play and esports integrity. Prepare to witness the brilliance of the ultimate bonding experience, or the Ube strat, as the agents are ready to slay. Here comes Blacklist International!
With every possible MLBB accolade under their belts, they only need one more trophy to complete the crown. The Queen and the agents are not going to stop until they achieve their goal.
If you are feeling the heat, it might be from the Turkish representatives all ready to go. Let's welcome Firefox Impunity!
Despite facing a couple of hurdles, FIMP overcame and conquered them. Led by the reliable Apex 47, they're pumped to be unleashed.
Now we introduce the masterminds of both teams. Coach Master the Basics with Dexar's the Analyst and Coach Battle Seth and Osprey as the Analyst alongside our head marshal to referee this match.
Oh man, it's really going to be an interesting battle here for both of these teams, especially considering how solid Blacklist International have been in the MSC stage. Meanwhile, for FIMP, how inconsistent they've been. They've been going for more dynamic drafts, so maybe that might just be the reason.
More like this could be the moment where FIMP, from what used to be your idols, now your competitors, they could look to try and break the code because they're the ones who studied it the most.
But, I mean, let's be honest here. At least for myself, I feel that Blacklist International, they have went through so much. This squad of Wise, Edward, and Oh My Venus, they have went through so much with the addition of Yue as well as Owl. They're just gonna have to bend their ways a little bit and play within the same win conditions, and they are very likely gonna be one of the best in MSC 2023.
Gentlemen, much has been said about the players of Blacklist International, All Wise, Edward, Yu, and Oh My Venus, but there's not much about their coaching staff. So maybe let's pick a Manjin's brain here because we were able to talk to MTB and Dexstar. Maybe later on, as I think that we will be looking at Firefox Impunity with Sunshine, Kazue, Alien, Kira, and Apex. Yeah, MTB and Dexstar. What will be their contribution to the team?
Yeah, so back in the Philippines, I was talking to Dexstar because we had a show match project, right?
Yeah.
And he told me that the other teams, they need to be ready for Blacklist.
Yeah.
Because they reserved a lot and they learned a lot back then in the Philippines after the Grand Finals.
Yeah.
They reserved a lot of their pocket strategies.
Wow.
And we've seen those type of heroes. We've seen the Minotaur, and we also seen, I think, the Novaria for this squad.
Yeah, and now talking about Fireflux Impunity, the lone survivor of the non-sea regions. They are the hope of the Westerners to be successful here in MSC. Do you think that they can do the unthinkable? against the agents.
I definitely think that they have an opportunity to take maybe a couple of games here, but at the end of the day, the meta is favoring teams who know how to play their team fights, who know how to go above and beyond. The outplays, like we saw in our first best of 5 in the knockout stage.
After all of the games that we've seen so far from FIMP in the first 4 days, I think it is relatively safe that FIMP, they do have a very good idea. And although now Kira, they kind of like mix up a little bit, right? Sometimes Kira is mid, or rather sometimes Kira is jungle, Kanzu is jungle. It gets very difficult to predict.
Yeah. Now the best in the MSC roles, you can see Diablo already in the XP lane. You already know that he performed so well. And there's Zcat, the mid lane, and Benny Cutie. But Oh My Venus and Wise, look at the stats of these two players, and it's just perfect that Manjin is here with us. What can you say about the royal duo?
Yeah. Been there since the beginning of their journey. Ever since they went to Season 4 MPL, they've been dominating the league. And who knows, they might go to another Grand Finals because the stakes are high for this team.
Yeah. And I can fairly remember the first time Oh My Venus and Wise went in an international stage. Gideon and Manjin, you were there. We were all there.
Right? We were all there,
Yeah.
literally watching the Queen's Gambit take its place. And it was only in its infancy, you know? Those moments of like, wow, there are brilliant moments, but it hasn't gotten there just yet. Until today, when we see the full arsenal laid out before us.
Okay, sure. All right, you guys have been at M1.
Inciting the FOMO within us.
I'm sorry, I might have to leave you out of this one, Abstract, because I'm going to bring up like M3. I was there when they won it all. So I'm sorry.
All right. Well, maybe there's something that Abstract can witness today. One thing that we did witness in the group stage is Minotaur, Diggy, and Faramis, these support heroes. Gentlemen, how do you think, why does this work? Basically,
it pretty much all encompasses on the fact that they just want to stick together as one entire team. There is a good amount of sustainability all around, and this is the thing. I always held that Oh My Venus is pretty much the main mastermind of the entire team, right?
Okay.
When Venus calls for something, everyone reacts to it. Everyone moves on, and they don't even try to deny, or they don't even try to challenge for it.
I think that could be a double-edged sword, though, because we've seen many teams able to adapt to the style. Sure, at first, Venus and the team's coordination, that's really what made Blacklist International special. That coordination, and obviously, I would just say, again, the mastermind, making these crazy calls split second. Thing is, though, teams like Echo have been able to dissect this because they're so formulaic, because it all relies on Venus. Once you put pressure on Venus, once you split that up, we have seen that be the weakness as well for Blacklist.
There was a time in the previous MPL Philippines where there was a lot of criticism on Oh My Venus because he stuck with the same amount of heroes, same pool of heroes. But now with the Minotaur up there, this was a big news, by the way, the Philippines. And maybe Manjin can tell us a little bit more story about this.
And I feel it's perfect. it's perfect for the Queen.
Really?
You know why?
The Minotaur.
Because it also has a heal.
That's what Mufel said too.
Right?
Is it as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. I also have a heal, then I have a CC, and let's do it.
Gentlemen, were you ever that impressed about the Minotaur that you saw from the group stages?
Well, the way that I see it, the fact is, at least with Enchanter style supports, it doesn't feel as big plays, right? We're talking about insurance policies. That's something that all the heroes that we've seen from Oh My Venus have kind of encompassed, right? Insurance policies, AOECCs, if not temp HP, and then we go back to Apex 47. Playmaker in his own right with the Franco.
When I'm looking at Blacklist International, or rather when I'm looking at Oh My Venus, the first few things that come to my mind is just sustainability, romance, and all that kind of stuff. Until I did my homework and I look at Lolita, it's a lot more defensive based. There are definitely a lot of romance that can do multiple styles, but Oh My Venus really masters on the defensive style, and having a Minotaur part of this pretty much is perfect for Venus.
Okay. Everybody just voted for Blacklist International. But I don't see Manjin here.
Except for me.
I don't see. Alright, so Manjin, you already revealed that you were thinking that FIMP can take the game if it's a game 5.
Yes.
Is this still the real Manjin speaking?
It's still me.
Will the real Manjin please step up?
Okay, it's Manjin. It's Manjin right now that you're talking. You're talking to.
Alright, so who do you think's gonna win?
FIMP will win if they're not overwhelmed. Because this is their dream to match up against Blacklist. They just need to play their game. They just need to be confident in their play.
I noticed.
Just don't be overwhelmed.
this is the Lodi syndrome.
It's
Or
the Lodi
idol
syndrome.
Si idol pala to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's the
Well
phrase.
done.
That's the phrase. That's the phrase.
When you meet up against your idols, you
Yes.
get overwhelmed
Yeah.
and you don't play good. So
But-
do you think that if they overcome that, they will win?
I think so because we could see a lot of surprises. First of all, they are not afraid of Echo.
Yeah,
Right.
Alien is not. Alien
Alien
said
is not-
he wasn't afraid
he's
of
not
Echo.
afraid of Echo. So it means
God.
they're also not afraid of Blacklist, especially Bad Girl Sep. I remember Bad Girl Sep was with us back in M4.
Yeah, M4.
And he told us that we were watching Todak's game back then. And
Okay.
Todak were losing.
Be careful what you're saying.
I know,
by the
I know.
way.
I'm a big fan of Todak. I know.
Okay.
I know. And Todak were losing. And she is confident we're losing. And so that's how confident she is. I'm simping for Pimp, bro.
Manjin a sip for Pimp as we head into the draft. Game number 1 of this best of 5 knockout series. Gentlemen, what can we expect as the bands and the first few picks of the game?
Surprisingly enough, I think some of the bands and picks are going to look very similar for both sides.
Exactly. Most of the time, we are definitely expecting to see the other teams will want to target ban onto Oh My Venus, always hitting onto the S-Dash, hitting on the DK. But this time, what we're looking out for is the very generic bans from Blacklist International, where they always take out the Kaja and the Franco.
Those are the two main heroes that can actually say something with this Ube. But honestly, for Blacklist International, we've seen this, I think, 3 games in a row up against Toda. Fredrin being heavily prioritized, and with, Wise playing the Psycho Fredrin, as now we're
Psycho
calling
Fredrin.
him. I think it might just be a very good pick. It's pretty flex as well for them.
Yeah. Manji, what do you wanna see from Blacklist International overall?
I think they can reserve the DE.
okay.
Speaking of the devil,
Well done. Well done.
it's the devil's egg, bro.
Talk about negative synergy.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. FIMP. How do you deal with this? What do you think have they prepared?
Personally, I think maybe FIMP might have taken a couple of pointers here. Wow, 103% pick and ban rate. That's a number I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
But I was considering maybe as their final pick of the first phase, potentially looking at the Claude. It's one of the few heroes that has actually taken a game off of Blacklist International.
That's right. But there's a big straight up chance that Blacklist might pick it up since they're facing Eve and Glue.
Yeah.
That could be a potential. But yeah, what else do you think the Blacklist International will answer this time?
There is a very high chance that they will want to answer high ground to high ground, getting a Fasa into their mix. In the meantime, getting a couple, probably just prioritizing a pick for hours. Someone that can really hold on to the fight a little bit longer.
I mean, we're already getting the Fredrin as well as the Valentina. If we're talking about getting a high ground alt like Eve, might as well just copy it, but still
true.
scale even harder.
Okay, there's the Fredrin. This is pretty much a standard Blacklist draft, especially with US special Valentina. Wise has yet to lose a single Turtle Lord Retribution battle yet.
Really?
Wow.
Wait.
On the Fredrin.
That's a stat that we weren't aware of.
Well, I don't think it's on the Fredrin. I think generally, as jungler, no one beat Wise on the Retribution battles.
That's even crazier then. I mean, people are calling him King of the Jungle as we know him as Psycho Fredrin with how much he just runs down. Literally, some Dio energy. Walk up to me and I'll take you out. But we're seeing that also the FIMP are trying to make sure that they can look for that one shot. We're not talking about CC. We're talking about just raw damage. And I think that the Amon in these positions can be a little awkward, especially in knowing how assassin matchups in the jungle deal against tank matchups.
Personally love the AA Mon here for sure because it has a lot of burst. The AA Mon, and now the Joy has been banned out. No, typically people will look into the V-Wise duo, the tandem, but sometimes they look at the N-word. Abstract, how do you feel about the draft so far?
Honestly, one thing that I really like about seeing teams going up against Blacklist International is that they know that Oh My Venus can't play super aggressive all the way in the early stages of the game, right? When you pick up an assassin jungler, you would expect the opponents to go for Hilda, for example, right? Super aggressive right off the bat. And then FIMP knows that this is not going to be an option. Picking up an Amon right here, it may very well be one of the best answers to deal with this Diggy.
Isn't it far too early to pick up the AA Mon, however?
Yeah, I personally think that is really showing it really early on might be a mistake.
I think it's not a mistake, especially for FIMP, because they have shown it in the group stages. Now, if this was hidden from everybody in the group stages, sure. The thing is, they have picked it up, and they know, Blacklist knows that Amon is one of the comfort picks from Cura, because we also saw this back in M4.
That's right.
So, I am looking at FIMP. I really, really like the drafts in the second phase coming out from them, right? They are really just trying to nail Edward down. And I think this has been one of the key ways, main win conditions from Echo as to how they beat them in MPLPH Grand Finals.
I think that you pointed it out, because that's what we saw with the bans. And I think imagine, you know this, targeting Edward might have been the way to go for teams to defeat Blacklist.
They need to shut down Agent Zero, I think, so that Blacklist cannot pop it up or that's what you call him, right?
Yeah.
Because he brings the aggression in the team.
I think targeting onto Edward is definitely one of the best ways, but also one of the most difficult ways, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Edward has such a wide hero pool. Right off the bat, I'm looking at Joy and Benedetta. It all makes sense. In the meantime, I'm also looking at Lapu Lapu. I'm also looking at Yu Zhong, both of which are such perfect play for Blacklist International to really come up to deal with this Eve.
I mean, they're trying to make sure that they don't exactly have the easiest backline access, right? At least trying to make a decent matchup. Like, where they're banning out Benedetta. If they're really worried about reliable backline access, they get rid of the Yuzong. They just want to slow them down. If it's about Blacklist International, it's about coordinated team play. 5v5s, as a matter of fact. Now, we're seeing that the Lapu Lapu is getting chosen. I'm curious to see what marksman Owl wants to play. Carry looks good, but there's still an assassin. Brody, wow, really wants to win that lane.
Pretty much comfort, huh?
Yeah. The thing is, this is a skill matchup, though. Brody versus Beatrix isn't, black and white here, especially for the Beatrix right now. The fact that the Brody has kind of been nerfed, not because the Brody's been nerfed, but because some of the items, defensive items, has been buffed, especially with the steel leg plates becoming just the norm now in the gold lane. Brody certainly loses a lot of kill pressure.
I think FIMP, they need someone to set up for the Beatrix.
Is this a setup that you need?
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Okay,
this is kind of like whole tactic going on right now.
I saw Gideon's reaction is like, Diggy,
Hilda.
and Hilda. So many teams have tried Hilda against Diggy of Blacklist International. Not everything worked. We see the audience prediction.
Bleeding red.
It's bleeding red. Blacklist International favored in this. And
Turkey.
FIMP, 88%, as expected. The draft has been laid out. Let's ask Manjin one last time when it comes to the draft. Many teams have tried. Hilda versus Diggy against Blacklist International. Didn't work. Do you think that this will be a game that FIMP can win?
This is so risky. I think the aim on third pick is a risky pick.
Okay.
But they want to secure it. But I don't trust the Hilda. It
Okay.
failed back in the group stages.
Yeah.
So I think we all know the script already. Blacklist will win, but I'm simping for Fimpro.
Okay, very well. Abstract, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way in to the land of dawn, who's the one that will come up early? Is it gonna be the Ube team, or would it be the aggressive Turkey?
Well, let's see how this early game actually goes out. I mean, if Yue ends up dying here, that's probably going to be a very clear victory towards Blacklist International. But knowing how, to FIMP. But generally speaking, the way that we should be looking at this is especially when it comes down to these neutral objectives, right? Hilda is not really going to participate in the majority of these team fights, but is then looking for information, trying to make sure that Blacklist International, especially for their mid laner Yue, to continuously pull to a different direction.
I mean, when we are looking at Edward, he is the master of his lane. The least amount of death amongst all the players. And I gotta have to say, Edward, he knows exactly what he's looking out for. In this current lane matchup, he doesn't really want to go to all-out aggressive against the Glue, but really just all about the lane priority and wanting to get back with his entire team.
Yeah, actually, speaking of which, I mean, I'm getting a lot of flashbacks from that Todat against Echo matchup and, Blacklist matchup. And honestly, when I see this Hilda into the Diggy, and especially with all my Venus playing on that impure range, you know that the Queen just wants the stats.
Okay, well, right now there's a taunt already. Wise gonna be able to dish some damage out right there, but Endless Shards actually connects onto Edward, who just soaks it in. No damage, just practically tickles him. As both teams just disengage, not wanting to go for a skirmish, but just as I say it, Alien's gonna be engaged on Alien, jumping back with the slam, pass, but Alien's gonna be stunned down to the Raven's Fighter. The appraise is cracked as well. First blood for Edward. Cura terrified up, trying to run away as Apex 47 tries his best to distract, to get him out of there right now, but it's going to be chain CC by the Fredrin. The sprint is not ready, and it's going to be Blacklist International with a clean 2-0 start.
Now this is when we talk about lane matchup, especially micro. The fact is that Edward was already level 4, and unfortunately Wu was not in that same position. If you had the split, maybe something else, the occurrence could have been a little different, but the fact that they got 2 of those kills so early on, and a free neutral objective, that's going to be an early goal for Blacklist International to start pressing the advantage against some of the stronger lanes.
Kira didn't even have his ultimate for that fight, unfortunately, due to the fact that the Lapu pretty much quote-unquote baited it out and managing to dash out of the way right before the final shots hits it. So honestly, Kira not exactly very good for that fight.
You can already see as well here, Wise trying to go for it. That's a red trick by Kira to secure it. The over manipulation and ends the charge, locks Wise down. The mobility fuel is right there, but the time journey locks him, gives him some space to escape. Wise is gonna fall. Kazoo picks up the kills. Alien rotates all around, but it's gonna be killed here by the bravest fighter. A Terrify as well, but Alien almost gets out just barely by Yue. Brilliant micro mechanics.
Great job from Yue. I think he needed to make sure that that kill went back. If not, that lane would have been very, very skewed. And also, it allows him to kind of recover a little bit of that early game damage. Regardless, at the end of the day, when we're looking at the items, and more importantly, when we're starting looking at the emblems at this stage of the game, we're in hope that Kira is able to scale super fast. Because eventually, Wise is going to be able to get Radiant Armors, able to get Twilight Armors even. Oh, a quick steal!
FIMP is still sticking over to their MO. With this lineup, they can afford to be playing very aggressively. Despite losing in the, or rather despite only having a 2-kill deficit, they still want to occupy the opponent's base as much as possible. They still want to inhibit the control of Wise as the main frontliner.
Especially the fact that they were able to burn a battle spell, a very important one at that as well. Venus, the way he was able to utilize this Diggy up against Todak was getting in the right places at the right time with the flicker. Now, Turtle's gonna be spawning in that flicker is going to be on cooldown.
So the clutch is disabled on this car, but at the end of the day, Oh My Venus just has to position a little bit more dangerously, right? Alien's totally fine. He's come to a point in the game where it's not
Wow, Kira even doesn't deal enough damage to take Venus down. Time Journey pop, the shielding is enough to get him out of there as Kira tries his best to start this turtle. Retribution not available for Wise, but it is for Kira. But it seems like Firefox and Impunity do not have that right now. Apex 47 is hunting Venus down, but it's going to be locked down. Forced to use the sprint. It might just be a free kill over, and it will. The time bomb, the alarm bomb in the bush. This finds the kill back in his Blacklist once again with that lead.
I mean, I respect that. You know, Apex 47 wanted to go super aggressive, and we talked about the fact that Apex 47 is not afraid. In fact, the whole entire FIMP seems like they're not afraid.
And the charge, you may need to be afraid as Edward jumps in under the turret. Kira is able to utilize the invisibility. And here, Wise will pick up that retribution onto the turtle. Neutral objective so far going all the way to Blacklist International.
Kira's got to be real careful there. He should not have lived that at all. The fact that he went back in to greed out one auto tech nearly costed him his life. I think that's going to stick with him for now. In terms of item power spike, we are seeing the dominance ice as well as the Ice Queen Swan coming out of a causeway. So it's going to help him really start chasing. But again, we're looking for that opening from FIMP.
I think there's a very fine line between, you know, respecting the opponents and being aggressive, right? Because FIMP, I don't know where they are threading right now. They would want to squeeze a little bit of hits in, they would want to really overextend themselves, but somehow they're not exactly punished.
Kira is being punished though. While you say that, Edward and Wise were able to just invade in the jungle. Now Apex 47, he might be a Hilda, but with those stacks in, Owl might just be able to slay him without the torn apart memory. That's a lot of damage from the Brody in the 5th minute of the game. Completely snowballing, 7-1.
Yeah, they knew this rotation was going to happen. They already initiated one of their own to make sure that they are on the top side of the map. But you don't want to see this because it feels like right now, FIMP, whatever they do, they seem to almost be making the blunder, right? But Blacklist are the ones who are increasing the tempo. They are the ones, and especially with Psycho Fredrin, really pushing the pace.
The tempo is really working very well from the side of Blacklist International, right? Most, if not all, of their players from their side is levels above of FIMP. There is definitely quite a disparity going on. Despite Edward just holding down to his lane, Alien and Kira still want to go in for a block proxy in order to go for a little bit of off-tempo.
And the charge as well, Edward just takes it.
it does no damage to Edward in the early game all the way now. You can see the defensive items for Edward is really, really paying off.
Yep, it's coming into effect, and that's why you need to make sure. Radiant Armor is honestly a really good buy. Some people even decide to go, depending on what the composition is, but we'll see the items in just a little bit as they've already lost a topside turret. This turtle basically a non-contestion.
Pretty sure that the robe is currently available for the side of Edward. He's been tanking all of that and doesn't seem like it's much of a problem. Blacklist International, they understand that the turtle is already working towards their favor. They have the priority at that. Then, of course, jumping onto the jungle is what they want to go for.
Bravest spider from Edward! All the way to the back, even! Kazooie! It's gonna be taken down the top side. That's gonna be Snipe coming down, but Owl's flavor was given to our memory. One more shot! Oh! Escapes! Blacklist are stomping on FIMP.
Not giving them any opportunity. Apex is gonna get cancelled, and this is just brutal. Sunshine needs to run, but even then, he's stuck.
Oh, Venus there. That's gonna be Flicker. Venus Flicker is out as well. Sunshine! How did he do that? He finds a double kill. Finally, he's going to be punished by Blacklist International with Owl flickering forward. Now he just dashed in front with that torn apart memory. But man, that's a mistake that we rarely see.
That's fine. They can recover from this. Blacklist is still at a 3.8k lead.
It's an island-wide coverage. We're looking at advances in the top lane. We're looking at advances in the objective. Blacklist International is still sticking true to what they want, and that is objective games over and over again. Yes, Sunshine may have outplayed them. Yes, he's just going to do what he can. Even expanded the flicker to get the kill on the Venus. Julian just couldn't do much from that point.
Really unfortunate, honestly. Like, towards the end there, you can see that it's clear that everybody's cooldowns were were basically done for, and they just have to wait it out. Unfortunately, that's when you see Sunshine flickering forward to create that space and forcing at least for Yue to use his own to trade.
Maybe the siege gets too much for them though. Blacklist International are completely utilizing this Brody. And Alien is going to be stunned up, and this should be him taken down without the torn apart memory. Utilizing the Brody so well in this game.
It's pretty much all of the first tier defense towers that have been taken down. Blacklist International will get full control of the river line, and the Lord will be popping out in 50 seconds. FIMP will want to reclaim this.
That's a talk. Kazooie gonna be locked down. Doesn't have. Oh, goes for the flicker anyways, but Edward chases him down with the bravest spider. 5.5k gold lead. When Edward does this much, what are you supposed to do?
I mean, honestly, this is just a massacre, right? Every single time Cura's buffs start coming up, about to spawn Blacklist, have already pushed out the waves. They are literally 10 seconds ahead of FIMP with a lot of the motions that they're making, sometimes earlier than they're supposed to be.
Renner's apathy, why is just being that Psycho Fedrin in the front. Taunting Alien up, that's gonna be Edward with the bravest fighter. He's gonna be disintegrated. An Owl in the back is gonna be slain by the assassin Cura, but the endless charge was thrown away by Yue. Now it's gonna be a real manipulation. Sunshine gonna be able to dish off some damage, but Wise takes him out. Yue is looking for a maniac! Yue! He got it! A maniac! A savage is waiting in the base, but Kazooie, he's gonna be denying it away from Yue.
Yep, can't do any more than that. Maniacs is all we're getting here at MSC. So close to Savages, but no way to secure that high. Now, as we look at this game, I think FIMP, unfortunately, yes, that was the correct motion. Cura is looking for that backline, looking to one-shot Owl as quickly as possible. But even then, the trades are so efficient, and with how the early game was actually played by Blacklist International, they maintained their lead. Even if they were at a 2k lead, it would only give them, what, 1,500 gold? Let's look at the replay one more time, because as we see Cura finding the angle on the left side of the map and even getting the flicker out of Owl, he one-shots it, but he's so out of position that there's nothing much they can really do. And as FIMP looking to trade back, they are behind. They are so far behind, in fact.
It's really unfortunate that Beatrix thought that he would be safe within the RWM, and I totally understand, right? You brought down the win condition on the side of Blacklist International. There's not going to be a lot of threat. But one thing that FIMP forgot is the fact that there is a 7k deficit.
And the fact that Yue can just steal the endless shards. You want to burst me? Nah, if I'm ahead, I'm bursting your team.
One shot me, one shot you. Doesn't matter who's gonna go down first. This inhibitor's mine.
An eye for an eye for 2 for a 2. FIMP is ready to defend this as much as they can, as Alien is just gonna be getting shot.
Oh, they can't even defend. Edward! He gets a 2-man stun of Yue! Follows it up instantly in the back, planning a double kill. RWM comes down to lock Apex 47. Owl, one more shot, but Apex is able to escape. That real world manipulation from Kazue. That's the only thing that can stop the middle way. Is coming down as he's able to actually immobilize it. Look at the damage coming from Owl, melting down. Apex 47 like it's nothing. Down to end with charge, doing nothing to Wise. He walks back up. Hero's looking for a kill right now. He jumps in for the fade. It's a fade and it's a time journey to lock him up. 11 minutes is all Blacklist needs. First against Todak, now against Fireflux. Impunity.
Great cleanup overall, efficient trades, and the best part, their communication still in tip-top shape. Their baits towards the end, was that absolutely necessary? Not at all, but they did it anyways.
I gotta have to say, US IMU, that uptime, it constantly coming out, eternal shots or RWM, these ultimates are always so crucial to these team fights, and he's not holding on to them. He finds the opportunity and he's very much ready to unleash them.
The best part is that he wants to maximize the slow of the IMU just because, hey, you're going to try and run away, you're trying to camouflage, no problem. Slow you down just enough and then one shot you immediately after.
I know that guy, someone in the crowd. I don't know where I met him before.
Cute, as a matter of fact. All right. Overall, Blacklist had a strong game. And I think, especially for FIMP, if they want to start recovering from this, they need to start fixing their early game. Because again, with a crowd of this magnitude supporting Blacklist International, it's very easy for the mental to start showing cracks in your gameplay, similar to RSG versus Burnex Flash.
I gotta have to say, right, when it comes down to FIMP versus Blacklist International just kind of have like this leash onto FIMP. Wherever FIMP tries to be aggressive, they just can't seem to work that out. They go aggressive, but in the end of the day, it's not necessarily that. They already crossed that line. The aggressive became, well, overextending.
Well, I don't know. If we're talking about overextension, I'm looking back at Wolf here. What can you talk about this game? Like how it couldn't have gone any better for FIMP, could it?
It's a lot of people really have tried this Hilda going up against the Blacklist International, specifically the Tiki. And for our simple brains as the casters, simple brains about the game, we can definitely think that it will not work. And in practice, it doesn't. You can see that it worked against other teams, but not particularly Blacklist International. There's another layer to it though, the AA Mon that you saw. Some flashes of good stuff, but man, just having Radiant Armor and Bloodlust Axe on this Lapu Lapu is already enough. But who's the... Oh, well.
Wow, perfect
timing. Perfect. 5-0-9. Radiant Armor picked up. No damage from the AA Mon. Gideon, what can you say about the Lapu Lapu? Edward Lapu Lapu.
I mean, the Edward Lapu Lapu, he played it as good as anybody can play it, right? Make sure that he gets the Fury Hammer relatively early on, and then immediately starts speccing in towards that Radiant Armor, knowing that he's going to be quite vulnerable when he tries to go in with the Bravest Fighter. So he has to make sure that he stays healthy, make sure that he's not feeding over into the Amon's big express trade, because if he starts getting one kill, the second and third just come that much easier, and eventually the snowball is just too much and you don't have that tempo. I mean, look at the heat map so far, right? As soon as Edward is unlocked from his lane, I don't have to stick with glue anymore, and I can start playing those smaller skirmishes, the 3v3s, the 2v2s, and then even in bigger team fights, that's when you see him jump forward. Like, look at how aggressive he is 5 minutes into the game. He's already walking into enemy territory.
It feels as though Blacklist International knew what they wanted to do, right? Against aggressive lineup, do we just go full out defensive? Edward just needs to unlock himself and make his way all across the map.
I mean, he's got to corral his opponents, right? And I think that's something that Blacklist took away facing against Todak, right? They need to make sure that the side lanes are clear, but more importantly, put so much pressure that they're forced back in towards their jungle and eventually shoved into the mid lane. Now, there were good moments from FIMP, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, these are the outplays that we expect to see from teams who face against Blacklist. And I would say, if I had to give Blacklist a title, they would be the gatekeepers, right? The gatekeepers, because if your macro is not on point, if your micro is good, that's like, okay, you need a combination of both to really take on Blacklist.
I can really feel that in this particular game, because there were so many times where you cannot see it coming that FIMP will get a stop at least of Blacklist International. Maybe they'll get a kill, but for some reason, the preemptive flickers coming up from Omlet Venus and towards Bravest Fighter just hitting onto two members, and of course Owl just using the stun of the dash of the stun just to get into position and land a good play, and then outplay AM1 at the end. Blacklist International just knew how to play Mobile Legends.
Well, they really did, right? It's almost like they mastered the basics.
Oh.
I've made that joke twice.
Okay,
Not so original after all then.
I mean, looking at the post-game stats, I think it's very clear. 21-5, 11 minutes so far. In their past couple of games, they've just been ending it within 11 minutes, especially when they have such a snowball on their side. And it's great to see that Wise, I mean, I would love to see Wise go back to his assassin junglers. He's already quite a monstrosity with Psycho Fredrin. Imagine if he had Ling or even Lancelot.
It's definitely gonna be sounding crazy to see that happening. But like I said, or rather, like you said, I would love to see that. Do they have any other, pocket picks, or rather, is there anything, other strategies that FIMP will want to look out for? Because in this game, all aggression is no aggression to this game, because we're looking at Hild A, 0, 5, and 2. It doesn't seem like there's too much damage going on. He went for tenacity, one thing that we gotta note for, not necessarily going for the assassin emblem, which I would have probably thought they would go for.
Yeah, again, I honestly feel like Fireflux Impunity, they have been forced to experiment. They've been forced to, go out and show their pocket picks before in the group stages, even up against Echo. They really wanted that victory to get to the first seed. Now, for Blacklist, it really does feel like, yeah, sure, we're in a single elimination bracket. This is where all the teams should go all out. But because they're so ahead of the pack, they haven't been revealing anything. They've just been playing the way they do normally. And maybe that's just a strategy, staying solid. But when the Fredrin is open, they will pick it up. They're not going to stray away from that at all. They're not going to go for anything too risky, because why take the risk?
Exactly. And this is, when me and Manjin were walking out when you were taking over the cast, we were talking about, man, this is a Blacklist draft. Owl will just take the Brody, Wise will take the Fredrin, and you have the trio, the Farsa, Eve, and Farsa, Eve, Valentina, that you can see you will play, and they literally got everything that they needed, and it looked really like a Blacklist kind of draft. Is this the way did FIMP allow them to do it, or it's just that it happened?
I think right now, Wise is super comfortable with Fredrin, right?
Okay.
Overly comfortable to his
Overly comfortable.
I will feel so, because right now he plays a lot of Fredrin. In fact, 22 games in MPL PH, 14th of which was a win. There are definitely many other heroes such as Guinevere, Alice, Kaja, Baxia, and so on and so forth. I think that if FIMP would want to capitalize on that, making sure that the Fredrin is no longer possible, it would be nice.
Maybe if there's a big patch, maybe that could change, right? Because we know that the 2023 Project Next update is coming soon, starting from the 27th of June. The revamped emblem system, the Eruditio story, which Gideon likes, brand new hero, generous events, and remarkable bonuses are about to meet everyone. Log into the game if you want to know more about this new update. Man, I'm excited about that. Should we do a? Wait. Now I just realized.
What?
Wait, this is the perfect panel for the SIMP podcast.
Welcome to the SIMP podcast. What does SIMP stand for, Wolf?
Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines.
So the simp table is here. Welcome everybody to the simp cast. That's the tagline. I love the tagline.
All right.
But honestly, with everything that's going on, and considering that Blacklist is not evolving as much as we would like them to, we've seen adjustments, but we haven't seen a new phase of Blacklist.
I think we don't need to see a new phase of Blacklist. If they keep performing like this with the old style, right? I will say, I think Blacklist definitely have something in their pocket, right? They're just waiting for the right moment to show it up. Because again, if everything goes well, why show it out now?
Yeah, there were some arguments in that for sure, but I definitely agree with you. No need to change anything if you are winning, and if you are winning like in a very decisive manner. But it's gonna be a tall order for FIMP for sure. I think that we have prepared something for you guys to know more about this team as they are facing up against Blacklist International.
I don't know, we are friends since like 6 years, so maybe that's our chemistry.
Genelde ya Hepimiz aslında ya. Öyle bir kişi yok. Hani genelde hoşuma gidiyor ya. Hepimiz birbirimizi seviyoruz. O yüzden ya bir aradayız sürekli.
Kesinlikle Apex olabilir. Direkt ortaya atlıyor ve herkes sakinleştirip o çözüm buluyor.
En işte söylemek istediğim bol şans diliyorum. Karşıda çok güçlü bir takım var. Geçen seneden daha güçlüyüz. İyi olan kazansın. Değil yani ister istemez bir gerginlik oluyor. Sahne heyecandan dolayı sanırım o da. Ama şu an gayet iyi bir durumdayız. Yani şu tartışmalara dalacak bir takım değil.
Ya kesinlikle bir aile ortamı var çünkü biz yıllardır birlikteyiz. Takımımızda ne kadar değişiklik olsa da diğer arkadaşlarla yıllardır birlikte oynuyoruz. Başka takımda oynadık. Şimdi bir arada toplandık. Birkaç yılda birlikte oynuyoruz. Yani kısaca çok uzun yıllara dayanıyor ilişkimiz.
M4 ilk tecrübemizde onlara karşı kaybetmiştik. Şimdi ise biraz daha güçlüyüz. Kadromuzda birkaç değişiklik var ama eskisine göre çok daha güçlüyüz. Yenebileceğimizi düşünüyorum.
We are feeling good. We are waiting. We will be waiting for playoffs.
Blacklist'te başarılar diliyorum çünkü biz çok iyi bir takımız. Onlar için biraz zor bir maç olacak. Blacklist bizi bekle, biz geliyoruz.
Welcome back to the Sim Table. That was an amazing video and a heartwarming video for sure. And they look like they are prepared. They know that sometimes teams will argue. They say that, but they have a solid ground when it comes to like holding the team together. And that's from Apex 47. That performance, however, game number 1. Is it because of his playstyle or was it just because of the hero?
Honestly, I feel that it's about their playstyle, right?
Wow.
There
okay,
is
okay,
a lot
okay.
of differences that they have did, and let's not forget about the fact that they had to replace Rosa. Rosa made a huge debut at M4, and to be honest, I myself thought that FIMP might not go far without Rosa.
Same. Yeah, I think, Rosa was that standout player that we were all keeping our eyes on. Something that was holding Incendio's supremacy together, they were known as in M4, and also knocking out a Malaysian team, no big deal, right? But then we come over back into MSC, and the fact is, right now, it feels like they are only at half their strength. They're not in that position where the meta actually, the meta does favor them as they can be very diverse, but there's a level of polish that you need to take on Blacklist International.
And we simply just didn't see that level of polish in game number 1. Now, my question right now is the fact that, was that a strategy that they want to start game 1 by giving Blacklist International their comfort picks and then reading them as they go? Something that a lot of teams have tried to do, or Kyohoshi last year, but it didn't work out for them. We don't need to talk about that. Anyways, Firefox Impunity, this is how they take best of 5s, especially. You can really see in the best of 5s over, they play best of 3s as well. They like to read. They are slow starters into the game, right? And especially after watching that insider video, now I'm even more of a believer that, we might see a better Firefox Impunity in game number 2. Maybe they take away the Fredrin, they do something different. Just don't do the Toda Kilda.
Yeah. All right. Be careful what you say.
The PTSD
in this
on
table.
Gideon's face.
Be careful what you say in this table. But you talked about insider information. I've heard that Matt Gelsef, the coach now for FIMP, is he studied every single game in MPL Philippines because they're big fans of the MPL Philippines before M4 and now coming into MSC, and they feel that they are really prepared for that. It looked like they were prepared because they picked up the AA Mon, but I do feel that it was probably far too early to be picked up. Like third pick AA Mon.
Generally, even if we're thinking about Amon as an assassin, right? You're looking for those early kills. You're trying to look for kills on specifically anybody who's squishy. In this case, it's supposed to be the queen, right? But notice the way that Blacklist plays. They look for that priority, sometimes even forcing priority when not necessary, just to make sure that the queen isn't up front. And that's when, King Y starts walking up, sees the Amon, is like, no. There's no way you're getting remotely close to the queen. The most we'll give you is Owl.
Yeah, that's what you get. But they did take out Owl just literally one time in a big team fight.
In the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. But then again, we're gonna be looking at other ingredients here. We already talked about Edward. Yue was so good in this game though.
Yue was amazing, but what I actually want to touch on is a little bit on Owl, because Yue was able to snowball, but the fact of the matter is the way they were able to snowball early on was that gold lane, right?
Yeah.
Yue, sure, or my bad, Owl, sure, wasn't really able to get a solo kill early on, but the pressure is all you need on the Brody. The fact that, you know, this matchup is a skill matchup, you add a Diggy and it's no longer a skill matchup. The Beatrix is completely zoned away, free hits, free farm for the Brody, getting to that first BOD, I believe, and chunking turrets down. Once you get that gold lead from the gold buff or the gold turret minion, and then you transition over with the lane swap, that's how you control the game. And Blacklist are just pros at doing this.
Yeah, I mean, when we were looking at Hilda, right? If we want to really target that Diggy that's constantly babysitting onto the gold lane, the Hilda gotta do something about it. However, the Hilda has pretty much been all over the map trying to stick to their MO, be aggressive in the jungle, hold wide back.
We'll see. There will be adjustments for Fireflux Impunity as we head to game number 2. Blacklist did pick up the first pick in game number 1, and now will FIMP still stick to the red side? We're about to find out. I do feel that the Diggy should be just banned out here, and it will be the case of Fireflux Impunity now on the red side, second pick, and that's the first pick of Valentina. Gentlemen, what do you think will be the answer for Fireflux Impunity?
Well, I think if Fireflux Impunity want to do anything, number one, they probably might want to take Fredrin out of the hands of Wise, because again, he has been such a good foundational block for Blacklist International. Don't allow him to be able to walk up on this tanky hero. Don't allow him to be able to snowball and run you down, and then maybe you can start alleviating this pressure from that mid lane, because at the end of the day, you know that Yue is going to have somebody to protect him.
Yeah. In that case, Fredrin is open. I'm actually surprised that the Novaria is a priority ban for FIMP, which that's from Blacklist, but wow, Minotaur and Ardent. Currently, Edward holds the highest KDA among all players with a 19.33, 19 average KDA. He's followed by Steven Yue with a total of 16. Man, Blacklist International stat padding.
Honestly, I'm relatively curious as to why FIMP is not willing to snag that Fredrin away. I mean, yes, for Kira, for the MCT, he's only played the Fredrin once. But I can say the same thing for Alice, Martis, Joy, Granger, Amon. They all are one game. So it's fair to say Kira can play the Fredrin, but they choose not to.
I think Kira is confident in his capabilities to play around it, right? Again, their bigger priority is the fact that they've already banned out the Diggy. Might as well take the Minotaur now and start affecting them here and make that impact in that first phase, and then force Blacklist International to try and answer them in the second part, which they have the advantage in because they get first pick in the second phase.
Yeah, and now without the Kaja and the Franco, the Joy was a pretty open pick for Blacklist International, especially after FIMP not even bothering to take it. They took up Ardent and Minotaur. Understandably so, but that means that Edward will once again have a great time in his game.
And you can understand now, whoa, okay, that's an error pickup. Hey, this Toadop did this to game 2 anyways, or game 3 actually. Fireflux Impunity, right. The reason I believe they went for the Minotaur and the Arlet now, it's very, very understandable. They want to just deny all the picks coming in from Venus, and I honestly expect some more bans to Venus, or they might just go show some respect over to the gold lane Owl. Especially after picking up the Hereth here, maybe they want to just lock down some of the heroes that can actually escape from the Hereth.
It's always a difficult game. Going up against Blacklist, especially when Edward Joy is playing it, without any kind of lockdown, how do you answer this? Do you go back to something like a Esmeralda? But I mean, you don't have access to it because you already picked up the Arlot. So.
That's the thing, right? When you're looking at the way, when you're looking at possible outs here, I think Blacklist International probably going to stick to what they already know, right? Ideally, they get the Beatrix. I don't know whether FIMP is going to let them have it. I'm guessing that they're going to ban it out regardless. They do, but then we see the response, right? Blacklist International making sure that these assassin picks go down, and they go down fast, because even when you have the Joy can only do so much unless she has a snowball, or I don't know if they start to feel a little crazy here, and I would love it just to see Wise be like, sorry Edward, this is mine for a day. Maybe just for one game. Why not? Give us a little bit more.
Yeah. That is not a far possibility.
Give us a little bit more.
Yeah. That is not a far possibility, by the way. It has been done. Why? wise, even when he's picking up 22 games on the Fredrin in one single season, he is willing to go for those pocket strategies like Jungle Valentina, for example, the Atlas, or we can expect that. But okay, now heading to the second phase of the draft, how do you now correct this if you're FIMP? How do you actually deal with both the Fredrin and the Joy, apart from having this Harry, for example?
I mean, right now, with the Minotaur, with the Omlet, they do have a very steady way to initiate into a fight, and they are pretty much all wanting to go all in onto Black International for one big fight. So they want to toss all their armaments out. On the other hand, as such, they should probably stick to what they have on the ammo and just continue to grab onto the opponents. There could even be a chance that Minotaur could go to the jungle. I would love to see them picking big outers such as Atlas even. They can at least work with some kind of pickoffs.
Alright, so right now, for Firefox Community, they banned out 4. And they picked 1 Minotaur, right? So technically 5 to 9 picks away from Venus. But my concern right now is, again, they left the land slot open. This usually sets up, especially now, I am even more of a believer in the Granger. Usually, NF4, remember, well, they need some more physical damage. There's no way they're going to be relying on the Armlet solely to deal damage here in this game. And the fact that, again, they completely disregarded, they completely ignored the land slot, that to a lot of people is the answer to the Fredrin. It shows me that they want to go for something bold. Exactly, the Granger. They ignored it. They didn't want to pick it.
Wait, what's left for Venus? Only the Lolita. Lolita I can think of. Is there anything else that they pick, especially after the Faramis that I pick?
I think they're forcing Blacklist to pick a Lolita. Maybe that's why they are picking a Harem for themselves.
I suppose, because there is the angle where it's like, yeah, Blacklist International are going to play like team fight, but they also have the aspect of, hey, Edward, you can start pushing into the side lanes with these flames. Generally, when you're 1v1, no problem. But how are you going to disengage? So the later gets picked, we expected to see the Beatrix, and now we bounce back over to FIMP.
Blacklist International's owl is actually not a real owl.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he was an owl.
I thought he was an owl too.
I thought he was on the set of Alien Invasion.
Oh wow, that was the most interesting style we saw today. But here's another interesting fact. There could be the potential of a
swing.
Well, I would have said Hayabusa, but that thing just flip it up. It's gonna be the Fanny, and everybody's happy about this. Are you guys happy about this last
Yes.
I like it.
Of course. Whenever you talk about assassins, there are 2 that come to mind, highly mechanical ones. Lancelot and as well as Fanny. Some may say even the Ling before they ever came out. But at the end of the day, they needed damage, and this is a great source.
When I spoke to Incendio Supremacy at M4, back then they were called Incendio Supremacy, they said they were just capped by their mechanics. Macro-wise, they can think, just like the Seeds team. So now, they're saying the Firefox Community is better than Incendio Supremacy, so maybe this is one of the ways to prove to the world that mechanically, maybe now they are on par as well.
We don't have to wait any longer. It's game number 2 for sure. Blacklist International going up against FIMP, and the Fanny was picked up. Abstract. Now, Yak, take it away.
As we move on in, Land of Dawn, approaching game number 2. Blacklist International versus FIMP as the creeps marches right out.
Alright, Gideon, I have a simple question here, right? A lot of people have been able to make this Fanny work against Blacklist, but how do they make it work?
Most of the time when we start thinking about Fanny, right, we're talking about that early game pressure. We're trying to look for ways to kind of set up dives. So we have to start thinking about strong and weak-sided lanes. And in this particular case, it's going to be down on the bottom side of the map. But that's why Blacklist are sending Oh My Venus to make sure that Sunshine doesn't find that early aggression, doesn't find that early trade, and forces him back. The response for FIMP, send Apex back down.
So ultimately, what Blacklist International wants to have is a 2 versus 2 in the bottom lane and forces Apex 47 to, not give that much of a vision. Technically speaking, Fanny, once he's pretty much got his purple buff, he can pretty much zoom everywhere, and if FIMP doesn't really quite have that kind of understanding, it will not be that good.
Okay, that's a lot of damage placed onto Cura. Man, didn't expect that burst coming in, but Cura seems like he is comfortable on the Fanny. That is one of the concerns for a lot of people playing the Fanny on stage. Will you be able to make these mechanics, these cables work?
I mean, even if he's not getting these kills, right, at the end of the day, he is influencing.
They're going in again with the cables. Wise going to be targeted down. Doesn't have to play this back just yet, but now finds the stacks.
The Presence Wrath will be ready for him as Alien jumps in once again. Just there, the flicker from Alien, and he's going to be able to fight for his blood. Maybe, just maybe a double kill, but Edward is able to escape. Firefox Impunity, already a very, very different playstyle here.
Spicy stuff. I mean, immediately we start seeing the rotations. Immediately we see a potential dive, and Edwards, he can't get back in there.
Yeah, though, under the turret will try to burst your way down, and it's going to be Kazue, who barely is unable to find the range.
I really like the very fact that FIMP, they have got Sunshine and Kazue actually gonna be on the mystery top. They want to get online a lot earlier. They're probably wanting to look for that snowball potential, riding all of that hope onto Kura.
I mean, yes, they are trying to make sure that they scale up as fast as they can, but the fact that they also have that Fanny, right? You're not expecting Fanny to do it all by herself. You need to have a couple of people to walk up. Now, these usually is where it's going to get difficult, because keep your eyes on Apex, you could turn these around.
Alright, after the blast charged in Venus, but it seems like Firefox Impunity, they understand that their composition is built around picking these members off in the early game, utilizing Fanny, so they will just ignore the first neutral objective.
Even in these games, right, we're hoping that Kura is able to kind of speed up the game, is able to farm hard, but when you're up against Tank, especially when you're up against Wise, he immediately is looking for that level 8. He wants to make sure that he starves his enemy opponent jungler out.
So currently Wise is at level 6, Kura is level 5. We're not really looking at too much of a gold lead, despite the fact that FIMP did manage to get a single kill, while Black International gets that pick. In the meantime, right above the top line,
okay, Kura's going to be locked down right now as Venus tries to go for some. Apex 47 will pop in. A defensive interference. The Blast gets charged in, but a good flicker from Kazue to deny it off of Venus. Still a flicker burns out. Venus thought there was someone in the bush. But it turns out Firefox Impunity are again just avoiding team fights.
Yep, they don't need to interact with them right now. They're waiting for item power spikes, and especially if we're talking about item power spikes, we need to look at Sunshine right now. Currently level 5 against Owl, but he's struggling to walk out, right? Because we see time and time again, if the Queen isn't in the mid lane, where is he going to be? Down by the bottom side.
Perhaps just running down onto the opening jungle will be the best case. Unfortunately, Kura didn't really quite manage to steal the bubble buff.
Oh, the Aliens can be baited in. Actually, now the final flash as well. Aliens should fall. Blacklist International claim an equalizer kill in the 4th minute of the game. They might actually look for an invade even here into the enemy purple buff. But Kazua is able to clear it out. Apex 47 is able to just give vision to Firefox Impunity.
Generally rather passive, and that's supposed to be the way that FIMP is going to be playing this composition. We're expecting Farmers to start stacking for as long as possible until he's able to get that early. I'm guessing he's going to go for the scaling type composition, type item build, probably going to Pocket Destinies. If he wants to go for something to stack up a little bit faster, even if he go for the Enchanted Talisman, that's generally up to him. He's got the components for it, but now we look at the next upcoming turtle up on that top side, and FIMP, they want to snowball through bottom. What? Blacklist, they've got read.
Oh, good read by Venus, opening up the map once again, but that's going to get knocked up onto Venus right now. The balls are stolen away, they didn't really connecting, and Venus should fall here to Kura. Owl with the news patch right now, Sunshine pops his on force. Off top, a trade, a good one for Blacklist International. Again, playing for the objectives.
FIMP are very much on the ball. They're constantly trying to get themselves ahead of the action on the side of Blacklist International. However, they are also not paying a lot of attention onto the objective. We've got Blacklist International, they've got Kura rating so far, and bottom lane,
non-force popped. Sunshine defensive. Very defensive. Blacklist International, he's at pace right now, so Zelensky actually just ambushed here with a forced pull ultra out. Kura's looking for the back line, but he's not going to be able to find you as he dodges away from the cable. He's waiting for it. The snipe was not enough to take him down as the sun comes through. Kura is able to escape. It should just be Blacklist International with a free siege down below, and yes, it will. Perfect execution.
I am just, heavy deep breathing there, deep breathing. I thought that snipe for sure. He was holding it for a long time. He wanted to make sure he was real accurate with that one. But as we explained before, FIMP, they're going to take their time with this. Yes, bottom tier 1. That means that Beatrix is on off. So now the initiative is on Blacklist International to keep the momentum up. Just like in game number 1, we saw that tier 1 fall, and instantly the lane talking comes after. And Wise, look at Psycho Frederick, 2 levels up, he's going to keep doing this.
It's really unfortunate for the side of Fanny. Doesn't really have the orange buff to pretty much work with, while Wise is just threatening within the jungle. Now, they're gonna have to deal with the threat of having a Joy that's toxic in the bottom lane, or perhaps even the Beatrix all the other top lane farming, trying to bring down the first defense turret. Where do they even put all their emphasis on?
Well, if I was Blacklist International, I'd definitely be going to that top side. But FIMP, they can recognize this. They're like, okay, we saw how this worked out in the last game. Maybe we can just slow down that top side and look to catch somebody off that river, because in about 9 seconds, the next turtle is going to come through. The Blacklist still have to be one of these objectives.
Wow. Good three with a flicker from Yue, trying to just catch Sunshine, but it was a good read. Sunshine playing it again, just defensively. 6 minutes in, now to 7. Blacklist International holding on to that gold lead as Fireflex and Community look for Prio for the first time ever that they will contest for a neutral objective. Apex for 7, now we did it very flicker, follow! 5 more members! Versus there, the Black charge in, even by 3! Makura is on the back, just dodging away. Wise now taunting up, disengaging, but Fireflex and Community, they might have found a way back into the game.
You can definitely see the difference of the no Infurious there. Yue, it's clear that he doesn't play Minotaur that often in comparison to Apex, who times that third hit so very well.
I thought that FIMP might possibly get a lot more out of the Minotaur Fury. 4 men out, I thought they were being half damage, but it makes sense, right? They're still waiting for the perfect time to eventually bring in inactive, because their damage is just not quite there.
Retro battle right now, and it might just be disastrous for Kura, but that's gonna be Wise who steals it away with a retribution.
They're punishing him, they're using Wise's lead. This is what I talked about when we think about multiple outs, right? For this mid-game right now, Owl, he's gonna have the time of his life, but he can't necessarily push the tempo. Wise can. He's gonna keep on starving out Kura for the majority of this game. 2 levels up. You want your purple buff, you're gonna have to fight me with your entire team, which is exactly what Blacklist wants, especially when Apex doesn't have his own ult.
Well, pretty much low W expecting top lane.
Lumina Blast and the Menace Rage, a late full ultra, but Kazoya not able to save his roamer. But I do want to talk a little bit about that turret falling in the bottom lane, because that was the reason they started rotating and invading.
That's right, it's trigger points, right? Trigger points every single time. Blacklist follows a code. People that are trying to break, yes, it follows the fundamentals, but the adaptation on top of that is what sets the bar from everybody else.
Whoa! Solo kill! Utilizing the Master Assassin talent emblem. Look at the top lane right now. Kazuya trying to bring Wise back with the Shadow Stampede, but Wise will just say, "I'll walk and dash towards you." Now with the taunt, having full stack, Woody Fraser's Wrath gonna go and steal away the orange buff. But down below, Kura will be able to pick up a turret, trade it away. Fraser's Wrath just used up.
Wise truly does not care about the fact that he is in opponent's territory. He's very beefy, and unfortunately, FIMP just doesn't have the damage to work with him. FIMP's damage really shines in the backline.
This is the buff freeze, by the way. That Blacklist are doing right now. Oh, it's an early retreat! Oh my! From Kura, and that could be disastrous. Notice how the purple buff of Blacklist is not being touched at all.
No way to rotate, and especially with the neutral objective of Laura being on the top side. If anybody tries to go for Wise's purple, there's just no way. They will be spotted out, and there's no way to flank at the same time, right? They're covering all of the ground here, and FIMP, you know, considering everything that's happened, I'm surprised that Blacklist are only 1.6k ahead. FIMP, they've got everything going for them, right? They've got 2 turrets, they've also got a little more kills.
This is called the buff freeze. This is what Blacklist like to do up against a Fanny or anyone who is very reliant on the purple buff. They kill up the big purple buff, but leave the small ones with doesn't respond. They continuously just invade the enemy jungle to take the purple buff away.
Making sure that you don't have it, especially if you are an assassin that relies on it. Now, looking on that top side again, Blacklist, it looks like they want them to walk up the fight.
Well, it's just pretty much Blacklist International just playing the long down, just trying to do whatever they can to just drag it on for a little while longer, waiting for FIMP to eventually make a mistake. They want FIMP to engage onto them while Blacklist International does their signature counter-engage. FIMP just can't find the avenue, and they probably just want to wait for the Kazui to actually make his way in. Or perhaps Apex 47 to go in first with the Minoan Fury. But FIMP just taking their own sweet time. They're biding their time, and only when the log gets a lot lower, then they will probably go for it.
And now Blast the flicker. Apex 47 is gonna fall with Menace Rage used up a lot of ultimates.
That's as much as they want to try, Apex is still going down. With this Lord being slain, this is the next trigger point for Blacklist International. They have their wing con going for them, and now the snowball is going to continue from here on until about the 14th minute of the game. But not by IMP. They've been playing relatively passive in the early. We've seen them trade pretty evenly during the mid, and as we start rotating, especially when we're transitioning into the later stages of the game, right, we have to keep our eyes on people like Sunshine. How is he really, realistically trying to get in on this fight? They need to fade out number one, the not blast. And Owl, I don't think he's going to be in a position which really compromises him unless he really flubs or makes a mistake. Or the secondary engaged duel, Alien with the final slash, maybe with a flicker, could look for something big.
I don't think that FIMP have got the items that they want in order to do the front lines, or perhaps even onto the back lines. Kira, one of the main damage dealers on the team, don't have his buff, and they rely a lot onto that cable. So even if FIMP has got all of those setups coming in from Kazue, or perhaps even from Apex 47, or perhaps even from Alien, how exactly are they supposed to bring the mid lines, or perhaps the back lines down? Sunshine is not quite there yet. 1-0-1, don't have much of that pressure. But Blacklist, every single one of the players, every single one of these players have pressure.
They're gonna have to scale then. I mean, Alien, ooh, final slash with a top rush here. He's trying to make it work. And even for Kura, right? It's difficult for him to farm in his own jungle. Blacklist have that level of influence over him.
That should be the red tree again from Wise. He picks up the purple buff. There's not much Brown Fox Impunity can do at this point, but just wait it out. Turtle in their base, looking for trades across the board, and this is the risk of putting a Aerith into the gold lane. You see the difference in gold between Beatrix and Aerith?
Huge. Quite a significant difference here. But let's not forget, right? Kazue, he's still stacking up pretty quick. The fact that he hasn't died means that his charges are slowly becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until he falls down. That's when we're expecting to see him start to fall off. So they still have an opportunity in these big 5v5 fights, and if they can kind of clump them up together with the final slash into the no injury, maybe there's an opportunity there. But at the end of the day, Kura, it's not like it's up to him, right? He just has to wait it out.
But even over time, Kazue's fall off will start to get a lot more apparent. And Blacklist International is still taking the
line. A blast from Venus all the way to the back line right now, but Kazue's still able to survive. That's a terrifying and an Fury as well. That's 3-man knockup coming in. That's Venus taken down. Kura's looking for more. Doesn't have the energy necessary to look for more, but they will take it. A 1-0 in favor of Firefox Impunity.
Now, notice that Blacklist International, if this was a team that was dead even with them, and especially if Fanny maybe had a purple buff, I don't think they would have even tried to attempt to go for such an aggressive play. But the fact is, they've got all the resources in the world, and they know that it's a clear disadvantage. Wait, hold on. No call to Edward. Using his Sunshine's gonna be gunned down, and Edward finds the kill with the rhythm and the vengeance. Now Alien is the next target on the player. Listen, Owl takes him out with an Amir's passion, swaps out the Renner's apathy. He wants to look for a snipe here, but nobody's low enough. Meanwhile, down below, Kura is going to pick up two turrets, Tier 1 and Tier 2. Actually, the duel was taken away earlier. Look at UA, the way they're sandwiching Kura down. The Filipino sandwich, but Kura is still able to escape. He saved the energy, and he bought enough time. Now Blacklist International is sent Wise all alone to go for the Lord. Film, what do they do? They can't. They have to give this Lord here unless Kura is going to try and be a hero, try to be a legend to steal this away. I don't see it realistically happening.
Apex 47 is not looking good at all. The entirety of Blacklist International just wants to zone the entirety of FIMP away.
Oh, Kura has to use the cables defensively. Edward's going to be chased down, but Sunshine can't get that basic attack to reset. Second skill, and Wise will just go to town. Yue actually is the one who takes the orange buff.
I mean, UA has been playing a very hot game since game number 1, coming into game number 2 as well. He's been making sure that he is holding on to these big ticket ultimates, whether it be the Minoan Fury or whether we are seeing him hold on to the call Ultra. These are insurance policies, right? And you can tell that this time Blacklist International, they want to foul in.
Owl indeed, Owl threading the needle. Apex 47 and Alien were in front of him. The fact that he found Sunshine, that was impressive. Kura, again, just having to micromanage these waves without the purple buff. Can you imagine being a walking Fanny?
It's not fun. And in 6 seconds, Wise is going to get another purple buff too.
The Lord is eventually going to be making his way down to the bottom lane. All of the exterior turrets is going to be fighting a lot of problems.
Minoan Fury, but the Minoan Blast is right there. Final Smash cancels it out. The Apex 47 takes a quicker out of the range. Alien, using Vengeance. Just jumping back and forth, resetting to save that base turret for the mid lane. The Tier 2 should fall. This is seem like it's gonna fall. Blacklist, they will go and buy. Ooh! Ow! We'll go prioritize the purple buff, but yeah, Owl, very rude, cut me off.
A lot of damage here. I mean, at this point, it's basically the mid-tier 2 is essentially done for, right? They've got the mid-tier 2. Wait, hold on.
Alien caught as the final flash, but he plays his last, locks onto him, and he's gonna be forced to commit the flicker out. Owl, once again, is just sieging. This is why the Matrix is so prior right now. Once you get that snowball, go! How? Owl is a monster on this Matrix.
He's real accurate. He's taking a couple of notes from Olhead for sure. Oh, they're going to continue doing this, right? Siege them underneath the turret. Utilize Renner as much as they can and start harassing their opponents underneath their inhibitor turrets.
And this is where the kind of like the snowball begins, right? Blacklist International has mostly been playing very safe, and they are just kind of holding on to the river line. And only once they have gotten more of the objective, they got a second lot onwards, FIMP just gets completely starved out of food, and there's just not much of that skilling that we want to see. By then, Blacklist International already is way ahead, and with the 7,000 gold ahead, they can pretty much tank up against any shots from FIMP.
I mean, you say that, but also the fact that FIMP is at 44, it means that this gold is soon about to end. It really doesn't matter how much gold, unless you're thinking about situational items, which Blacklist needs to start taking full advantage of if they want to close out this game.
If you find another snipe, that's gonna be
Oh, but it doesn't even need to connect Venus! With the Nukedown Blast and Nue! With the Minu and Fury! The combo together, right on time as well! How do you get better than this? Blacklist International are playing the cleanest MLBB I have ever seen!
It's like 5 men left, but Sunshine tries himself take it down!
That is to take him off because the monster is already popped in. Cura as well finds a tier 2 up top. But it doesn't matter. Blacklist responds to every single play, but they're also able to react and make these proactive movements.
All right, Blacklist agents out there. Somebody has got to draw Wise on Fredrin as Dio because he just walks you down. He's a psycho for a reason. He knows he's strong.
Oh, what do you even do right now? Part of the community, Kira trying to look for an opening to go for that board. But he just simply can't. He gets bursted down by you and Edward. Owl.
You just let it happen for now. You really just gotta let it happen because no matter what they do, Blacklist International is able to stop you in their tracks. They know for a fact that Oh My Goodness doesn't have that. It's like, oh, Kira, please get out of here. Your team is gonna need you for this upcoming Lord push. And even when we're looking at the items, right, we're slowly getting to that max. Couple more until we see those final items, but the majority, and especially the core items that are necessary, are there. In comparison to look over the Blacklist International with their 8.7k lead, they can start switching them out however they like.
I was really wanting to hope and see the Sunshine will be able to do a little bit more into the front lines as long as the Summon Force is available. However, Blacklist International's ultimate basis, and they are just constantly jumping right in and catching FIMP out, the only thing that they can do is just immediately back off and doesn't really have much of a fight.
Oh, he's gonna get it done.
Damn! Ow! Why are you so good? Minute Fury now, Apex 47 is gonna be locked down with the Nukedown Blast. Alien into the mid with a vengeance, but he gets bursted down too quick. Owl then people down with the Niru. He walks off forward. Kira's able to clear out the Lord right now. The Anyways come crashing down. Clear the cable once again. But Owl finds another. He is indeed unstoppable. Owl is the new Filipino sniper. He'll take that mantle from Mohit.
Oh my god! How accurate is he? I don't know what OHEB has told him, but they've got some kind of secret tech there to make sure that they land every single one of those shots. FIME get close out of this game. They play passive, but there was never a time when they felt in control of this game at all.
Snipes after snipes after snipes. It would have been amazing to also see Blacklist International play the Omaria, but unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. But Valentina, that play from US, it constantly, like I said before, it's all about INU. Constantly having a lot of hard time, it's constantly making the fight work out, stealing the Minoan Fury, and echoing right after the big Lolita's Luminum blast.
It's so disgusting. And let's not forget the fact that I feel like Yue and Owl, that's initially when
the dance!
Every single time, every international tournament, Manjin, you know he's gonna get the Filipinos riled up and knows how to show his support to his teams.
OHEB to Owl? Do you think that is actually what is happening now?
Well,
That's a bold claim.
I thought it was like, when I was in the game, I wanted to say that earlier, but I'm like, nah, you know what? It takes more. But then he did that in the final moment, and I'm sold. Take it. Just take it now. Take it.
I can't blame you. The way that they played it. By the way, this is a game where there was a lot of deny. You yourself have mentioned it. Four bans and 1 deny pick.
Technically 6 deny picks now, because the fairness was taken away as well.
That's true. Then, they still pick up the Lolita, and oh my Venus was so good at that hero.
I honestly thought that the Harif would have been able to do a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Even though it kind of seems like a bit like, okay, we ban all of these, we pick up the Harif, and then you pick up the Lolita.
MVP. No, I think this is uncontested. Look at that. 6-1-1 connection with the
Makes sense.
ultimate. He's really on point with the sniper. Gideon is... What else could we say about the MVP of the game?
That he's comfortable, that even when he's up against a matchup where generally it gets a little bit difficult, especially in those early stages, the fact that Owl is feeling this comfortable and this good about himself, he is finding his own pathway here in the international tournaments. He is brushing off that greenness and really turning into a veteran. Because look, the fact is, he was dominating the early game against this Harif, and he continues to carry that lead all the way once the trigger points happen for Blacklist.
There's just constantly many moments where Blacklist International completely break down the ability of Cura to even make his way to assassinate Owl. Time and time again, Owl was just left completely unattended, and Blacklist International took this game by the neck and allowed Owl to roam around completely freely.
Look at that beautiful Sagamera from Venus, then followed up by a stolen or copied Minoan Fury. And I wanna put your... Whew, that was nasty.
See, okay, no.
Okay.
Just enjoy the moment right now.
Listen,
Look at the snipes.
Yeah, watch out for the normal attack on the sniper. Watch out.
This is it.
Owl. There it is.
Here it is.
Yeah.
This one?
Oh, wow!
I couldn't even see the line. Not gonna lie, I couldn't see the line at all.
Because that's how accurate he is. He's making
He
sure
doesn't
that-
need the line.
Yeah, he doesn't even
need
need
the
the line.
line.
Literally,
Crosshairs.
even if Muton decided, you know what? Let's take away the cross. Well, it's not really a crosshairs. The laser sight, essentially,
sight,
right?
yeah.
The guiding line to show the projectile. I think Owl would still hit that no problem.
It feels like he's playing a first-person shooter. He just feels like he has everything correct.
Yeah,
the settings.
The flick of the wrist.
The flick of the
The
wrist.
flick of the wrist. Hey,
Wow.
who knows? They might even add Gyro to it for all we know. He's holding his phone up there. It's like, I can still hit this.
Whip his entire body from one side to another.
Oh my god, 12-6, Blacklist International felt like a very slow game. Even when it went to almost 20 minutes, kind of felt to me that it was Blacklist's game all along. There were some flares of brilliance coming out from FIMP, but overall, Blacklist International, they have controlled the map.
I mean, it's not only control over the map, but they've also played to a very similar playstyle in Malaysia before. They don't want to get backdoored again. They don't want any of that crazy nonsense. They're making sure that when they are collapsing onto their enemies, they are checking the boxes, the strong fundamentals. And I mean, mastering the basics literally in his name, making sure that there is no outs, no angle that FIMP can actually get through. Purple buffs. Every single one has been taken away after the 8th minute. Sideways, always handled, and I mean, maybe in game number 1 there was a punishment from Sunshine, but other than that, they still continue to press their advantages and collapse towards the mid lane.
You really, I mean, okay, I'll just tell you guys, alright? I was spoiled a little bit by Wolf, because he showed me the purple buff freeze, and you were really excited about it, so talk to us about it.
Like you said, it was one of the go-to plays that Blacklist International does, because they always play up against Fanny and Ling, and people will think that, oh, this is the way to go against Blacklist International, surely. And they have so many layers of defenses to that one layer.